And after I had my children, I found that it was very difficult to code or save the lives of little children. And I used to do that routinely every day, and then all of a sudden it was starting to bother me. I couldn't cope well. I couldn't cope with the trauma. I couldn't handle the stress and the fast pace. And then I found myself, I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't think. I couldn't focus. I said, what's going on here? Not realizing at the time that it was a hormonal shift. After you have children, your life changes, your body changes, and most men probably know that. The woman changes after she has kids. Then after the second one, it actually got worse, and I had to leave the emergency room. Because I couldn't emotionally detach myself from the emergency room, and I went into family practice. I was coming of the age where I started to feel the hormonal shifts. I knew what they were, but I didn't know how to take care of them. I was having a lot of menstrual difficulties. I was starting to bleed heavily, not being able to sleep at night, becoming very moody, not being able to focus and concentrate. And when you can't sleep, you can't concentrate, hot flashes and night sweats. And I said, uh-oh, I'm having problems. It's starting to interfere with my ability to function. I said, I've got to do something. And with my mother having breast cancer, she died of breast cancer. My sister is dying of breast cancer in New York. And being of that age, I could not take fake hormones. So the only option I had was a hysterectomy. But then I knew that if I had a hysterectomy, that's not going to solve my problems. It's only going to make them worse. So I didn't know what the heck to do. So I was actually desperate. And one of my patients came to me and said, Dr. Taylor, you've got to learn about bioidentical hormones. And I said, what is that? Biologically identical hormones? They said, yes, they're human hormones. And I said, what? They can make human hormones? And the patient said, yes. You didn't know that? And I said, no, we only get a few hours of women's hormone lecture in medical school. And here I was a pharmacologist. And I didn't even know that they could make human hormones in a test tube, identical to a human body's hormones. I didn't know that. And I was absolutely ecstatic. I said, wow, I know my problem is hormonal. Most women know. We know intuitively that it's hormonal. But we go to the professional and say, I'm having hormone problems. What do I do? And then they give them fake hormones, and then their problems get worse. And then when they come back and complain to the doctor, it's just not working. It actually made me feel worse. Or it didn't get rid of any of my problems, and it gave me other new problems. The doctor says, well, then it must all be in your head. So here's some Prozac or something like that. Here's an antidepressant. You must be depressed. And the patients, women know, I'm not depressed. I've got a feeling it's the hormones, but the doctor says I'm depressed, so I must be depressed. And some women take them and just muddle through life. And other women fight back, get on the internet, start reading, grab some literature, find out, ask questions, and actually educate themselves and say, wow, I heard about these bioidentical hormones. So when I heard about them, I was very, very thrilled for my own benefit. And I was like, wow, I found the answer to my questions. And then I learned about them, and I said, wow, you mean one dose doesn't fit all women? You mean I have to individualize the dose? I have to figure out what each woman needs? I have to study her problems, the extent of her problems, the magnitude of her difficulties, and correlate them with not only a disease entity which may be there, but a hormonal imbalance or hormonal deficit. And when I learned about that, I was like, wow, this is great. And I figured, well, it should be okay. It should work. It makes sense that it would work. It makes sense. And then when I found out that right here in Houston, there are thousands and thousands of women on these hormones doing wonderfully. They do wonderfully. I went, wow. And the more patients I heard about that it was a life-changing experience, I went, wow, I never realized the magnitude of putting a woman's hormones back in her body, how much it would change her, and how much, even if she were born with an imbalance, how much better it would make her feel. And I was so impressed with that. It was just listening to the patients, listening to the testimonials, and finding out that this stuff really, really has an impact, and a positive impact.